We are here at the Raleigh Public Library. We're thrilled to welcome the Mass Walking Tour, a couple of our own local artists as well. Before we get going, Amy's going to just talk a little bit about some other things going on this summer, including the kickoff of our summer reading program, which is happening next week.
Next Wednesday. We've got the Kids Summer Reading Carnival starting next Wednesday, so everyone can come to that. And if you're interested in adult summer reading, that's also starting next week. It'll work a lot like last year. Every book you read, you put in a slip for a weekly prize drawing. And at the end, we're going to be giving away an e-reader again. And for every book that you read, the Friends of the Library have generously agreed to donate money to the food pantry. So that's what we're reading for this year. Does anybody have any questions about that? Everybody's excited about summer reading, right?
Yeah.
Yes. We'll have some great summer prizes for the kids.
Okay, so I think our first introduction is Holly Robinson. She's here every time she has a new book, and she's in between promoting one and releasing another one soon, right?
Yes. Hi, how are you? Thank you all so much for coming out. I have this big stack of stuff because I was trying to decide on the way here. Mostly I just want to hear the music. But as they said, I am a local author. I'm a novelist. My two latest novels are Beach Plum Island, which just came out this April, and it's set right here on Plum Island. And then The Wishing Hell, this one here, which came out last year. This is set in Byfield and in Mexico. And I have another novel coming out next year called Haven Lake, which is also set in this area, in Ipswich and Raleigh and Newburyport. So I write novels set here. I'm really excited to be here tonight with this Massachusetts walking tour. If you go on their website, you can see that this walking tour group was founded in 2010 by Mark and Rayanne, and they put it together kind of to raise awareness of arts and the importance of supporting arts in your community, which as somebody who's really active in our library, I certainly am behind that. They do it in a really unique way, walking from town to town, not only just walking from town to town and putting on concerts, but carrying those packs. And I just tried picking up each of those, and they weigh as much as you might think they do and more. And they carry their musical instruments. I don't know how they look so clean. They walked here today from Spencer Pierce Little Farm. And where are you going tomorrow?
We're headed to Marini Farmstead in Ipswich.
Oh yeah, okay, Marini Farmstead in Ipswich tomorrow. So strawberries, yes? Almost.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so strawberries. So we all know Marini's. So it's a really, really cool concept. I love this concept, and I didn't really know about it until Pam from the library had told me about the group, and I talked a little bit with Mark. I'm not a musician, but I do a lot of walking. I'm a member of AMC, so I've done a lot of walking from hut to hut in the White Mountains. I also walk a lot around here. In fact, Joanne, who I thought was coming, but she's not here, almost hit me in the middle of Wethersfield Street. Not her fault. I live over on Wethersfield Street, very close. But because I was walking, and when writers walk, they're not necessarily walking where they are. They're walking, like in my case, I was in Vermont. And I was having, an emotional breakup with a man I was about to marry in my head. And so I was literally stopped in the middle of the street, and Joanne patiently waited. It's like waiting for the ducks to cross over here on Radford Street, the geese, that always stop all the traffic by the pond, because I just was with my little dog, like shuffling and thinking. But I walk a lot to think, and it's a really wonderful way to get your mind going, to get your creative juices going. So I really love that about them too. I'm going to read a little section from this novel, just one paragraph, to show you how it translates on the page, and then I'm going to tell you a story about chasing rhinos in Nepal, and that's a walking story, so that's why I chose that. I picked this particular paragraph because it's set right here in Raleigh. The February sunlight streamed pale and blue as thin milk on the crusty snow. Claire O'Donnell parked her car in the usual spot beside the abandoned barn on Stackyard Road, tugged on her sheepskin gloves, and resolutely headed out. Her dog, Tadpole, led the way. She had adopted him from the pound as a puppy, and he had grown into a moose of a dog who viewed the couch as his own. Claire had to make do with the wingback chair whenever she read or watched TV, not that she minded. Tadpole had been a loyal friend. If you converted his 10 dog years to human, he would be 70, her age exactly. So there's a character striking out on Stackyard Road. I became a lover of walking by accident. I followed a man, as many of us do, not just across the country, but to Nepal. I had never been to Nepal, and he said, let's go trekking. I knew nothing about Nepal. I knew nothing about the Himalaya. I had no idea we would be hiking in snow up to my thighs, that we would be hiking from village to village, from tea hut to tea hut, sleeping in families' homes, which is kind of what these folks are going to sleep in my home tonight. Partly because I went to Nepal and did this, and I saw what going by foot from community to community does for you when you see people making things in their own homes, when you see people making rugs or knitting yak sweaters. Thank God for yaks. I hadn't even thought to bring a parka, and I just layered up in yak sweaters and yak socks to keep myself warm. On that trekking trip, I went to Chitwan National Park because I wanted to see the one-horned rhino, which has been close to extinct. Has anybody ever seen a rhinoceros, you guys in the zoo? Have you seen a rhino? So you know what they look like, right? They look kind of like, if it were a long time ago, maybe they could live with the dinosaurs. They look almost like they have armor, they have that horn, they have those little beady eyes. So I went to this park. I had no money, so I stayed in a hut again. And the guide, sort of a guide, the son of the guy who owned the hut, said, would you like to see the rhinos? Special discount trip for foreigners. I'm like, yeah, sure. So these Germans and I went out at night. He said the best time to see rhinos is at night. So I'm like, okay, great. So we follow this guy walking to see the rhinos. And he says, now, if you see a rhino, they can't really see you. Their vision's really poor, but you don't want them to know you're there. You need to pretend you're a bush. I'm like, what? You know, he's translating from Nepalese to English. I'm like, pretend I'm a what? He said, pretend you're a bush. I said, how do I pretend I'm a bush? He said, you just go like this. I'm like, okay, I'll go like that. So I go like this. I said, good, that's what you do when you see the rhino. And he said, and so we're going to sneak up because you don't want them to chase you because they'll be faster than you. Okay, yeah, I don't want them to chase me. I'll pretend I'm a bush, so I'm ready. So we're walking on this trail along a cornfield by a river. And we wait there for a few minutes, and sure enough, pretty soon the rhinos come out, and they're snorting. And it gets really incredible sounds, not ladylike sounds at all. And they get faster because they get excited because they see the cornfield, because guess what? Rhinos love corn. So they come out, and you can just see them coming out, just emerging like this silver moonlight glinting on their backs, like they really are dinosaurs. And they come out, and the guy's like, okay, be bushes. So we're like being bushes, just watching them because they're really close to us. They're like from me to you. And they're walking past us in a line, and he says, okay, now we chase the rhinos. I'm like, what? He said, no, we chase the rhinos. We have to chase the rhinos. I'm like, I'm not chasing the rhinos. He said, no, you have to chase the rhinos. Chase the rhinos. I'm like, okay, I'll chase the rhinos. So we start running, and we chase the rhinos, and we run after the rhinos, and I'm thinking, what if they turn around and run after us? What am I going to do? I'm going to have to be a bush and a running bush. Is there such a thing as a running bush? Sure enough, guess what? The rhinos ran. They ran from us, so we're chasing the rhinos. And we got them out of the cornfield, and do you know why he had us do that? We paid him to show us the rhinos, so he got money from us. Guess who else paid him?
The guy who owns the corn.
The guy who owns the corn, the farmer. We were like live bushes and live scarecrows, chasing the rhinos out of the corn. So how's that for a line story? We're all eager to get to the music. I would like to first introduce another local author. We have painters and writers and sculptors. We have all kinds of artists here in Raleigh, and one of them is award-winning poet and fiction writer Carla Panciera, who's also a teacher at Ipswich High School and runs the book club here in our library, and a wonderful friend of mine. So Carla Panciera is next.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming out. Mark, thank you for inviting me. This is what happens when you're friends with Holly. She gets a call, and then she calls you and says, will you just come to this thing, we'll just read. Then she gets up and tells a story about chasing rhinos. I'm sitting here with my poetry books going, okay, Holly. I did want to go first. I'm a witness, but I'm going second. So as Holly said, I live in Raleigh. I live about a half a mile away, and I teach at high schools and lovely students, and one of their representatives is here tonight. I have 2 books of poetry. This is a bilingual edition called No Day, No Dusk, No Love, and then my first book is called One of the Similores, which is, I grew up in Westerly, Rhode Island, and Similores are a huge Italian family, which I'm a part, so you have to always make sure before you date anyone in Westerly that you have there 3 or 4 generations back to make sure they're not related to you. I have my first book of prose coming out in October. It's called Bewildered. It's a collection of short stories. It's being published by the University of Massachusetts Press. So I did think about reading from that, but I guess I'm not ready to do that yet. So I'm going to read some poems. When I talked to Mark the other day, he said, well, you know, if you have some nature poems, we can hear some of those. So I do, and then as I started looking through it, I thought, well, here's a night of music, and then we get this story. And my poetry is kind of dark, so I'm flipping through in a panic, trying to find things that aren't quite so dark. Let's see what you think. I'm going to start with a poem that is a Rowley poem, and it's a Wethersfield Street poem, actually. I was driving by there one day, and it was in December. You know, I grew up in southern Rhode Island, and in southern Rhode Island, it's as ridiculous as it sounds, because it's 2.5 hours away. It's not as cold as it is here. The ocean water is definitely not as cold as it is here. We don't have a ton of snow in the town that I grew up in, so we don't really prepare for winter. And then I went to the University of New Hampshire and froze for 4 years. And then I moved here, and I finally figured out that winter is the best season of all, because the light is so beautiful and the air is so beautiful, but you have to be dressed for it. And what I love about New Englanders is, especially in this part of New England, is the temperature doesn't matter to us. Everybody's always outside. You drive any cold day, any bitter day, there's a blizzard blowing. People are outside walking their dogs. My neighbor's carrying Stu across the street. He gets bored in his house, so he goes up and down the street with food for us. And I was driving by one day in December. One of the houses on Wethersfield had a clothesline out back. Charlotte's a lot, we love clotheslines in town. And there were all these handkerchiefs hung, and it was freezing, and it was kind of damp. And I thought, oh, those handkerchiefs are never going to dry. But they just look so beautiful to me, hanging out there. So this is my poem about them. It's called Conviction. Heavy mists lull above the sodden ground of a late December thaw. The distance disappears, black trunks of bare trees align. On a clothesline strung from porch to oak, handkerchiefs, as old-fashioned as cold winters, hang white corner to white. Over wood piles, insects beat raw wings and flit into mossy mid-season. Someone throws open a window. Someone else rolls up his sleeve. What happened to the relief we felt at that first short day? The ancient farmers in us at supper in the shadows of full silos. We settled in, remember? Came inside and made peace. But the quiet undoes us. It does. The arrhythmic dripping of water off tree limbs and foam wires distends the tidy pleats of patience in us and pits the filthy islands of old snow. The handkerchiefs will never dry, but some quixotic someone set the basket down in a world we've given into weeks before. Maybe just this once, that person must have thought again. Maybe, we concur, threatened not by cold, but by our own slim faith and low resistance. Even now, in a breeze as moist and warm as a first and forward kiss, the handkerchiefs stir and call us out. Let's see, Rowley over here. So this is the Herrick Farm, which is now part of Tender Crop, doing some pasture-fed beef. We used to get when we first moved here, the reason we moved here is because we needed a couple acres. We had a horse that we wanted to keep in our backyard. And we used to get hay from the dairy farm, the Herrick Dairy Farm. And,
Do you mean the Pickle Dairy Farm?
Yeah, I mean the Pikeville Dairy Farm. Sorry, wrong side of town. Pikeville Dairy Farm. And I was sitting in the truck one day and waiting, and when the starlings take off out of the trees and then they come back and then they resettle. That's just such an amazing thing. It's so mesmerizing. And I thought, well, what do they look like? There's so many of them, and they keep resettling. And then I came up with this poem. It's called Birds as Words. Unscripted, voluminous birds sweep through sky. Scattered syllables of birds, black as type. Cast from one enormous pulpit, a cavernous mouth opening, and birds. Thought up, blurted out, leaflets of nothing but birds, disseminated, incomplete ideas and ideas tried out and re-examined, stray marks of birds that settle themselves in the last bright hope of trees, as if every last red, orange, yellow, umber thing trees have to say must be in quotes. The enormous vocabulary of an ancient professor who opens his collections and sends birds off in one far parentheses, rethinks them back toward the blank page, spews birds out once more in a fluid end mark, a long dash, short one, above, beside, beyond, around, their 100 wings beating like the panic of keys, the flutter overhead of herd passing hearts.
I'm going to this way.
I'll just do a couple more. This is an Ipswich poem. We're going to go in there tomorrow. I was invited to a dinner party right on the Eagle River, and I think I was one of those people who, like, at the last minute somebody said, shouldn't we invite Carla? So I went. I didn't really know the rules of the dinner party. It was a little tiny house, and the woman of that house was, I guess, pretty particular about things. I didn't know that. It's called Homesick at the Sober Potluck. The hostess does not want wine, insists that I return it to the car. Outside, the tidal river retreats, leaving bits of shell, weeds it will, moonstruck, return for. It's light out, finally spring, and I want to go home. My girls will be on the swings after supper, barefoot though it's cold. The higher they swing, the louder the song. But I didn't drive here, and as passenger, I must go back inside or slide into the seat and wait as other guests arrive with couscous, fruit, with boxnicks, brownies. This morning at the bus stop, a hawk swooped down and plucked a sparrow off the hedge. The sparrow screamed. The hawk spread its wings, bleak awnings lifted off. The girls stared into the woods long after there was nothing left to see. They had been singing, jackets unzipped and flapping. There are places, my own birds, we are sorry to find ourselves. I go back inside and remove my coat, lay it over the arm of a sofa no one has sat on. Promptly, I am told that in a house this small, arm sweep, everything has its place. I find the closet for my coat, sparrow-shouldered on its hanger. At home, the girls will be called in, swings of swinging empty, for as long as it takes the day's final notes to fade. The hostess touches chair backs, coaxes us to supper. Outside, sunset roils the river. The bad news is you can't stop any day from its end. The good news is the same. All right, I'll do one more. And so part of my time in Ipswich, I grew up on a dairy farm in Rhode Island. My father was a world-famous dairy farmer. It's kind of funny to say that, but in his own little niche, he was just known all over the world for his dairy cattle. So for him, when we took our cows to the fairs, it was serious business. And growing up on a farm, you know, your family doesn't think they have to shield you from anything. You see everything, life, death. It's really hard work. They don't care. My father didn't care. He's an equal opportunity employer. Boy, girl, 10-year-old, 20-year-old, if the truck needs to be driven, you get behind it and you drive it. This is a 60-pound bag of grain. Somebody's got to bring it in. Maybe you only weigh 65 pounds yourself, but the grain's got to get from there to here, and no one's going to help you do that. So when I became a 4-H leader at Appleton Farm for a few years, And Appleton is a great place, but it's not run by farmers. It's run by people who have an education in agriculture, and it's a very different thing. And a lot of times the leaders will try to shield the kids from some of the stuff that really is farming. I mean, farming is not 1,000 beautiful acres. It's some pretty harsh realities. So this is my poem about the 4-H Club's first spring. This will be my final poem. These kids are not farm kids, but their mothers want them to know where their food comes from. So they arrive on a day when a calf is dying, stretched out in sun. Its muzzle accordions over blue gums. Its breathing ruffles dirt. The kids draw close with a bottle topped by a red nipple. They wait, but dying is less compelling than dead, so they scatter, kick stones. The bottle tilts into grass. Their mothers remain. They ask, what can be done? Over a half door in the stanchion barn, a cow with a crescent moon on her forehead watches too. The hired man lifts the calf, steadies it between his legs, and forces the nipple in. Milk trickles past the useless tongue, soaks dewlap, brisket. Meanwhile, the cow paces the length of the doorway, moos. The mothers touch each other thinking, she knows the way we know. But the hired man says, that's just Barbara all cooped up waiting to have her own calf. The mothers turn for a moment, ruminate on this. No one considers Barbara's imminent pain, only what will come of it. Calves and more calves, the pitiless ooze of spring, as if one small being means no more than any other. Beside a fallow field, their children have discovered the manure pile. Barbara rubs her glossy neck against wood as worn as an old horn. The mothers frown as if she can help it, the jaunty tip of her white moon hat.
Thank you guys so much. I'm thanking right now Holly and Carla for being so. Give them another round of applause. When I called, as I do in every town every year, to ask who is an artist of any kind, whether he's a poet or a storyteller, did you guys know that storytelling is actually an art? Did you guys know that? Oh, I saw your head go like this, so that means. So, also visual artists. We have a dear friend here whose son made these paintings behind us. So before you leave, I want you to come check these out because that's somebody that's been helping us quite a bit, and his son's art deserves to be seen a little bit. But when we call the artists in September, when we're planning the next summer's walking, we ask the townspeople, who should we include in this program? And Holly was one of those people that jumped right on. It's sort of Pam, the director here at the library, who was so eager to give us her phone number. And she eagerly reached out to everybody that she knew. And this is what we do in every town. This is our second show of our 5th annual Massachusetts Walking Tour, where we walk across the state of Massachusetts organizing free community concerts in support of the arts in these towns that we visit. And everyone is unique and everyone is different depending on who we have, like Carla and Holly, representing your town. This concert is supported by the Raleigh Cultural Council. They very generously donated money for us to do this concert. So before we start planning, I just want to introduce Rand Richards and myself, who are the co-founders of Massachusetts Walking Tour. My name is Mark Mandel. And to my right, we have Mark Kiliansky and Amy Albee from the Boston area. These are the same two that we took on the walking tour last year, which was different because since 2010 we've been taking different people that we meet, different musicians. These guys were the only ones that wanted to do it again. Of course. So just as a little bit of information, yes, we do walk with those backpacks. They're bigger than some of you people. And I bet you it's like walking with 2 or 3 of you. We walk with our instruments, and these of the instruments that we play. It's the reason why Rayanne started playing ukulele in the first place.
Smart.
Because she's smart.
Weighs 2.5 pounds.
They get the sun beating down on them all day. So thank you for being patient. If we tune in between the songs, we're doing it because we care about you. We walked today from Newbury. The Spencer Pierce Little Farm was our first concert yesterday night. And we'll be walking until July 3rd, where we'll end.
If anyone is interested in following us, we have some postcards in the back that have our whole schedule on them. You can also go on our website, which is masswalkingtour.org. You can find out what we've been up to for the last 5 years, where we're going to be. Another interesting facet of this tour is, since we're hiking a trail, we post our daily hiking routes. So people are encouraged to come out and walk with us if they would like. There's a local trail activist, Nancy Merrill, who's part of the Bay Circuit Trail, which is the trail we're hiking, and also the Bolt. She's done trails all over this town, and she'll be joining us on Friday, right?
Yes.
She'll be joining us on Friday. So any of you are welcome if you would like to come out and walk. If you like to hike, you don't walk very fast with our 45 minutes.
Yeah, all of our routes, as she said, are posted on our website. Some are 2-mile hikes, some are 12-mile hikes. So plan accordingly if you do intend to follow. We are visiting all towns along the trail called the Bay Circuit Trail. And we have Kristen Sykes from the AMC here, who we're going to bring up a little later to explain to you some history about the Bay Circuit Trail, its uses, and where you can get on and off of it. But without further ado, we'll start playing some music. These are all songs that we've chosen this year and last year. Songs that we've written, and some traditional songs, which means songs that were written way back and we've brought here for you. Okay.
This is a song I wrote called In the Summertime. All the cakes in the summertime. Oh Lord, don't want it, feel fine. Going out in the summertime. is the only known song that she wrote about an actual mountain in Virginia. It's called the Silver Pinnacle Mountain Mine.
inspired by the WallkTour. Something really awesome that happens when we do this is communities like yourselves really jump on with the idea, and a little community forms around us. And that's really amazing, wonderful. And that feeling was very much with me when I was writing this, and I wrote it on the last day. The last day is always kind of bittersweet. You're walking along and you just kind of want to get that pack off you. You want to take it off. We're good. We're good. But it's also, you know, I was reminiscing on how much fun we had, and man, do I really have to go back to regular life now?
You get really used to living with only the things you need. After we did the very first walking tour, Rand and I noticed this, we'd been sleeping outside for 2.5 weeks. And when we got home, sleeping inside a house with the windows closed was just an unfathomable idea. No fresh air. It was strange. We went and opened up every single window in the house to try to be closer to that. And then that fades away. But staying close to that feeling is really, I think, important.
And there's a lot of things that you take for granted. Like every year when I go home from this and I spend that first night back in my own bed, I'm like, I love my bed. And all of a sudden everything just becomes a little bit sweeter.
showering consistently is also a joy.
Using a restroom instead of a bush. Also a joy.
How many of you have ever gone camping before? Really?
Okay.
Fantastic. You're going to camp soon. You'll camp. She'll take it. Really? Well, there's plenty to be scared of in the woods. There's bears.
No.
What?
Scared. But spiders this day. He has a story about that.
Yeah, spiders.
Does it count if you were in a cabin with no indoor
No indoor plumbing, that means you had to use an outhouse, right?
Yes.
Yes, they count.
in the kitchen?
You had your hand up, you have to have an idea. Yes, like spiders.
Right.
Spiders can get into your tent. They can also get on the outside of your tent. We woke up and we slept out on a farm last night in a field.
Yep.
And we woke up next to, I should have known better. We all should have known better. Never pitch your tent next to a bunch of roosters. Why do you think you should never pitch your tent next to a bunch of roosters? Of course. We all, in our adult infinite wisdom, forgot that.
What time do you think the roosters woke us up this morning?
About 4:30.
She's pretty close.
Yes. 3 in the morning. And then the turkey woke up at 4. And then the donkey woke up at 5. At that point, we just gave up and got out of bed. So this song is inspired. Glad to walk the tour. It is marked in my new CD that we released in April. Please, if you enjoy what we're doing, please keep in touch with us. Yeah? Just one more mile to go. I've been walking all across this town, so it's time for the show. Young people, get around, singing songs of our time. And we all have something worth singing about. It's coming round and round. Come people, get around, singing songs of our time. And we all have something worth singing about. It's coming round and round.
realized with Carla, she was saying, I don't know if I want to read my poetry.
And it was beautiful, right? It was so beautiful. You didn't pull us out. I loved it.
I think Rand and I performed a concert one time, and this guy was smiling from ear to ear in the audience, okay? Throughout the whole time of performing, he's just got this grin on his face. I'm like, is something wrong with him? Is he okay? And he approached us after the show, and he said, I have a question for you. How do you want me to feel? Was his question. And I was like, are you seriously asking me this? That's your responsibility. I don't know. How are you supposed to feel? He listened to the words, and the words to some of our songs are sort of, as Carla would say, dark. But our harmonies are pretty, and he was conflicted. He said he didn't want to frown the entire time because he thought it'd distract us. So he smiled, as if that were the opposite.
That's okay.
I think it's up for the listener or the viewer or anything of art to decide for themselves what it means to them. This is a song called Hard Times and Woes, which I insist is a hopeful song, despite the title. There'll be hard times, there'll be woes along both sides of the road. There'll be times when giving up seems like the ending always told. Be it heaven, be it gold, quench the thirst inside your soul. Baby, faith, stay in the saddle as you ride off in the morning. There's a way, there's a means, you must take great pride. Though your horse might be wild, one you hold on tight. Be it tame, be it mild, you must take the reins and ride. Clench your fist onto the bridle, hold on tight. When the sun flares down and burns your skin, when the dust kicks up, clouds rise, when the wind blows sideways and the death falls cold, when your heart hangs heavy and you sink down low, there'll be hard times, there'll be woes along both sides of the road. There'll be times when giving up seems like the ending always told. Be it heaven, be it gold, quench the thirst inside your soul. Baby, face, stay in the saddle as you ride off in the morning. We're going to do one more song and then invite Kristen Sykes up here just to speak a little bit on behalf of the trail that we're going to be using for the next 2.5 weeks.
How many of you guys are aware of the Bay Circuit Trail? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Much more than last days.
So that means you got to come up with a bunch of stuff that they don't know. Okay.
We'll have a few more songs after Chris talks us, so stay tuned. This next song is a song that Mark actually brought. It's a traditional song. Accredited to Uncle Dave Macon, if you guys have heard of him. Uncle Dave Macon.
If you smush it into one word, it would be Uncle Bacon. But it's Uncle Dave Macon. And I believe he was from North Carolina. And he played the banjo, played the mean banjo. He knew a whole lot of mountain songs. This is one of my favorites from him. The song is called Jordan and a Hard Road to Travel, and it was originally written in the 1850s. And it was a minstrel song, and the words kept changing to reflect what was going on in the times, and for some reason it kind of paused in the 1920s. It's been stuck there for about 100 years. And it relates to what we're doing because it's all about the automobile and the proliferation of that, and highways being built, and urbanization, about people leaving farms and going to the cities. Very tongue-in-cheek lines like, get a countryman educated just a little, and he ain't going to work on the farm. Public schools and the highways are causing quite an alarm. Okay, here we go. Well, I'm
tell you a little bit about the Bay Circuit Trail. She has decided to hike with us the entire time, all but for one day where she hasn't been meeting.
In Connecticut.
In Connecticut. She's not walking there.
I'm Kristen Sykes. I work for the Appalachian Mountain Club and the Bay Circuit Alliance. And we support the Bay Circuit Trail, 230-plus mile trail, starting in Newburyport, making a big crescent C around Boston and ending in Duxbury, Kingston. So we say the trail touches the ocean at both ends. It's been an idea since the 20s. Charles Elliott and also Bette Mackay, who's from Shirley, Massachusetts, one of the people who envisioned the Appalachian Trail. So the Bay Circuit was really within his mindset of having a trail within communities. And so we'll be experiencing the farm. We've had a great time walking through towns. So you really are kind of integrating your hiking with the local communities. And I also want to recognize Martha Bowser, who's from Ipswich and the Ipswich Committee. She's done a tremendous job to help us with tomorrow and a beautiful place to stay. And also to mention that many parts of the Bay Circuit are not done yet. And in fact, the rally section is proposed. So if anybody has a keen interest in helping us get the rally section dedicated, we have a trail staff person, we have all the support you can need. We've got great folks like Martha who've been working in Ipswich and great folks in Newburyport, so we're definitely looking to get that part done. A lot of people do through hike it, kind of like we're doing, but it doesn't have a lot of overnight accommodations, so just kind of stay where you can or stay with really great folks like Holly. So hope you'll get out on other parts of the Bay Circuit, and thanks for coming to listen to these guys. It's been so fun hiking with us. I'm not a musician, but I'm the comic relief for the trip, so.
Oh yeah, she says she's going to play percussion pretty soon.
At some point, I'm working up to it.
Thank you. And we can vouch for it. Rand and I have been working together with the National Park Service and the AMC for the last 2 years now, and it really is true that Bay Circuit Trail Alliance, AMC, trustees of reservations, National Park Service, these are all people who care about something that is taken for granted for a lot of people. You know, and they care wholeheartedly about the trailways and the community using this as an access for recreational purposes. And it's really wonderful to work together with them because they bring so much joy to their job. And they get paid to do it, which is pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
When we're traveling through towns with our big heavy backpacks, we're pretty good advertising for ourselves. But sometimes we meet people and they say, "What are you doing?" And we say, "We're walking from town to town playing concerts." And they say, "So you're musicians? Sing me something."
So we do. Last year we also sang this song a lot on this one particular day. We were in like the deep dark woods and we thought there might be bears. So we were singing the song to keep the bears away.
And where were you last year?
Last year we hiked the New England National Scenic Trail, which actually starts on Long Island Sound in Connecticut and goes all the way north to Mount Monadnock. Just in the Massachusetts section. So about 100 miles of that trail, and it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of tough terrain. We went over the Seven Sisters, which if you head out to Northampton, Everest area, that's that squiggly mountain range that you can see. We went over that whole thing in one day. Whoa, wow, 16 miles.
We had somebody take our instruments because they're just, some of them hang way over the tops of our heads and they get caught on stuff, and it's really terrible to walk that way. So we had somebody take those things, but we continuously took our backpacks.
We spent a lot of time on mountains last year. So this song is a traditional song called "Snowing on the Mountain."
Sow 'em on the mountain, reap 'em in the valley. Sow 'em on the mountain, reap 'em in the valley. Sow 'em on the mountain, reap 'em in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Now if you've been lying, you better quit your lying. If you've been lying, you better quit your lying. If you've been lying, you better quit your lying. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Sow 'em on the mountain, reap 'em in the valley. Sow 'em on the mountain, reap 'em in the valley. Sow 'em on the mountain, reap 'em in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Now if you've been cheating, you better quit your cheating. If you've been cheating, been cheating, you better quit your cheating. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Sow on the mountain, reap them in the valley. Sow on the mountain, reap them in the valley. Sow on the mountain, reap them in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Now if you've been warring, better quit your warring. If you've been warring, you better quit your warring. If you've been warring, you better quit your warring. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Sow on the mountain, reap them in the valley. Sow on the mountain, reap them in the valley. Sow on the mountain, reap them in the valley. You're gonna reap just what you sow. You're gonna reap just what you sow. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about the Massachusetts Walking Tour, why we're doing this? Any questions at all? It's okay if you don't. Why are we we doing it? Why are we walking all over the state year after year in the hottest part, sometimes the rainiest, and cold? What?
Not right now.
Can be.
It was like 90 degrees. Okay, maybe it's cold. In 2010, when we first started doing this, Rand and I had just released CDs, and we thought, what is the hardest way we could bring our music to people? Because we tour a lot of the country, a lot of the year by van. We don't get much exercise. We sit in a van and drive 7 hours sometimes from show to show to show. And we also have these conversations about making communities better with other friends we have in other parts of the country, and we realized we have all these conversations, but what are we doing in our own home state to sort of make things better? So in 2010, we devised the Massachusetts Walking Tour. Didn't have very much advertising. We just got some venues together and walked all the way across the state of Massachusetts lengthwise, from Beckett, Massachusetts, which is near the New York border, western Massachusetts, all the way to Somerville over 17 days, which was crazy. Absolutely crazy. There was hardly anybody at a lot of the shows because we didn't do any promotion whatsoever. We end up in, do you know where Ware is?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
The town that can't be.
The town that's in the geographic center of the state, and we played on the meeting houses right in the middle. And the next, we were, all set up to play on the town hall, just like this, or the meeting place there. Nobody was there. Except the woman that helped organize the event.
And a couple of the neighbors who were just kind of wondering what we were doing.
Yeah, they came over and they what's all this about? Man, we didn't do any promotion. But since that time, we're now fully funded by local cultural councils, which are subsidiaries of the Massachusetts Cultural Council. We've also had gracious donations from the Bay Circuit Trail Alliance folks, National Park Service, and we do have a donation link up on masswalkingtour.org. And it's our intention to bring our music as well as support for arts and culture in this really difficult way across the state of Massachusetts. Is that answer your It's okay.
How many miles are you walking?
The first day of the first year we did it, we did close to 18 miles with 50-pound packs. We never did that again.
Yeah, that was long.
So now we do between 8 and 12 miles a day. Sometimes our walk to Marini Farm tomorrow at noon is 2 miles, and then we're doing about 6 to where we're camping.
Yeah.
And we keep it reasonable, and our packs are still about 40 pounds, a little bit over, with our instruments and all of our necessities. And again, I want to point out our friend Bill in the back, who's got our food rations, and I guess he's being our sag wagon for this trip.
And he is our traveling art show. This is our first year having a traveling art show.
And all of this work is his son's.
It's done by his son. This one you should really take a look at. It's got a lot of cool detail. The concept was if you were doing the book cover for a biography on Beethoven. So it's really interesting. It's beautiful stuff. Unlike Rowley, one of the reasons why we continue to do the walking tour is because on our first trip, we visited some towns that literally had not had a concert in town in over 20 years. And that hit me right in the heart. And so now we purposefully try to choose the out-of-the-way places where people don't go, that aren't cities, and gather people together and celebrate what's there, and also share what it is that we do.
We say that we're going to visit every town in Massachusetts, and we have visited about 50 of them, but I think what's going to screw us up and happen at the end is the ones we've missed are going to be all over the place. And it's going to be really kind of messy to get to.
What do you do the rest of the year?
We're all musicians.
We're all musicians full-time.
Together or separate?
Mark and Amy are a duo as well as songwriters in their own right.
So you play in what types of places?
Well, so we're from Boston, so we play a bunch of gigs around there. Mark has his own group as well. I freelance recording sessions, we play weddings.
Oh,
Pretty much, yeah. I think that's
Just
like
for the Cambridge, who was that?
the Cambridge City Council. We played a meeting for them. their annual meeting. That was cool.
All kinds of stuff.
All
Yeah.
this type of music?
Yeah, basically.
Basically.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the walking tour music is sort of unique because we're playing the instruments that we can carry. So the banjo isn't a complete banjo. We take the resonator off it, the wooden bowl on the back that usually projects the sound. We take that off because that's kind of the heavy part. The fiddle is not so bad, right?
This is not my prize award.
Yeah, neither is this the prize
It's walked across
guitar.
the state 3 times, and it survived. So it's a pretty good one.
And this has been probably 3 times
It's been old.
since 2011. This has been the guitar. So no worse for the wear. But of course, when we play throughout the rest of the year, we're playing our good instruments.
Usually the same in the winter.
Yep, Mark and I travel all over.
We travel all over, yeah.
We've gone as far away as Flagstaff, Arizona to perform. And we've done tours where we were gone from home for 3 months at a time, just playing gigs going all over the Midwest and everywhere. So.
You said you would walk to Arizona.
No, but you know what? When we got to Arizona, they got confused and read our press release wrong and wrote it up in the paper as we did. We did, because, you know, it made us a little bit more sellable. Really? Yeah, we're tired.
People showed up like really concerned. No, the rest of the year we drive. The walking tour is only June. We do for 1 to 3 weeks. Get all of our exercise in at once, and then we just sit on our lazy butts and wait for the rest of the year.
But it's hard. This is the first day we walked today. So it was the first time with the packs on, which are, we walked for about, how many miles did we do today?
9 or 10.
9 about. And it hurts because it was the first day, so things are not easy right away.
How do you go about joining your walking tour as a musician? Is that possible?
Absolutely. If you go to masswalkingtour.org, we have contact on there, and we encourage not only musicians and artists who are local to the towns we're in, but people we meet along the way. Yesterday was our first bona fide show at the Spencer Pierce Little Farm, and we did meet a banjo player who's about to fly to Ireland and bring his banjo and do a sort of a walking tour, not of his own music. He's just going to be walking and bringing his banjo and playing for people and joining other groups as he goes. We invited him to perform for you a couple songs tonight. And
Yep.
he chose not to come. He's leaving tomorrow for Ireland, so he's got plenty of good reason, you know. But people can do that. People can join in like that. Woof. So we play a traditional that we've been playing for a while now. It's a song called Follow the Drinking Gourd, which was an old slave song, which allowed them to find their way along the Underground Railroad by looking at the stars. Yes?
In this star book that I have, it says a thing about follow the drinking gourd and like how it led slaves to freedom.
You are correct. So do you know what
They
constellation?
still teach these things in school. That's so good.
What constellation are they referring to as the drinking gourd? And think about this, because you didn't have to have read this book to know it.
Is it see the lion?
No, we'll give 2 more guesses, and the adults can feel free to answer, but if you already know what it is, don't you?
Is it one of the dippers?
It would be one of the dippers.
Big one.
That giveaway, it's not the little one, it's got to be the big one.
It's like there's
Yeah. You know what a gourd is, right?
Huh?
You better know what a gourd is.
Yes.
What is it? I'm going to put you on the spot if you answer like that. What is it? What's a gourd?
Is it a squash?
It's like a squash. They hollow it out and dry it out, and you can drink it out of it.
Squash.
Squash. Okay, this song is about squash. When the sun comes up and the first quail call, follow the drinking gourd, for the old man's waiting for liberty and freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Have a river running, banks of my Just a few. We could do a few more songs, I guess. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for coming again. It makes a big difference when the audience shows up. I just want to point that out.
Makes us feel really good.
Yep. We want to thank Pam, the director of the library here. Thank you for being open. When I called her back in September or October and said, hey, can we have a concert here? She was very interested. This is way better than the opposite of that. So thank you. Again, I hope you always have programs like this at this library.
Thank you to Raleigh Public Access for filming tonight, so you guys can continue to enjoy this on your public access channel. And you guys put them online too?
Yes.
Okay, so you can get on their website as well and relive this awesome experience of the walking tour. If only we could get some cameramen to follow us walking.
It'd be a reality show.
Yeah, we do have a couple of friends who are attempting to make a documentary, and they are joining us every few days along the trail. Not sure how much walking they're going to do, but we'll see. It'll be
What, the film guys?
yeah.
No, they're not
They
going
like
to.
the outdoors.
They're not going to do any. They hate the outdoors. They wanted to do this. They wanted to do this because Rand and I wrote a grant for them to have a video camera. So we bought them a toy, and they're coming out and filming us. But they hate the outside.
I don't think they realized when they said yes what they were getting into.
They're what you would,
Yeah, we're going to be outside for a long hours.
They're what you would consider townies, but they're from our town, Webster, Massachusetts, which is way less culturally enriched than Raleigh. Sure.
Well, it's a pleasure hanging out with these guys. I met Mark and Rand a couple of years ago at WICN radio station in Worcester. We were all on a live show together, and they were talking about the walking tour, and I thought it sounded really cool. And I went up and I told them so. And in my head, I was thinking, man, I wish I could get to do something like that someday. Not thinking that I ever would. And then a couple months later, they contacted me and were like, hey, want to do a walking tour with us? And so I said, Amy should come too. And last year was our first year, and I guess we weren't too slow or too annoying to be around for 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So they asked us back. It's really a pleasure to be here with them.
Yep, we got a good group. Definitely have a good group, and we'll be doing this until July 3rd. So if you see our shows, they're all listed on a postcard on the flip side of it. If you guys want to come see us a week from now somewhere else, just see how we're doing. We might look different. We might be.
But we'll sound really tired.
Yeah, we'll sound really good.
You live right here?
We might get tired looking.
There's a certain ratio of looking good to sounding good. Always equates to the same thing at the end. We're going to do a song here that I wrote. A friend of mine said, I have a friend named Suzanne Olson, and she's a great singer. And her dad said, I want you to write a song about Susie and also have the word calliope in it. And I thought that was a pretty tall order. But this is what I came up with, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. Called Goodbye Bluesy Susie.
Riding on a dolphin, I was shooting the breeze. I was
last song so we can get you in the video? Will you guys do that? Can the Lance come in?
We're inviting the dance party in here.
Bring the dance party? Yeah.
Come on up.
What?
Well, thank you guys so much. We have one more song. One more song for the dance party. One more song for the dance party. I want to thank you again for coming.
It's kangaroo dance, right?
Sometimes the rhythm is going to get you.
That's the monkey dance.
Yeah, so you if you guys are interested at all in what we're doing and you want to find more information about the walking tour, we have everything on the back table, including information about Holly and Carla, also on the back table. We have a walking tour compilation, a live concert from when we did it back in 2012. It's a live concert from Douglas, Massachusetts, which was the last concert of that year. We also have CDs from Amy, Mark, and ourselves up there, so if you'd like to support us, that's how you can do it. And you guys have been dancing so nice out in the foyer. You gotta do it in here now for public access.
If you guys have any questions, just come up and talk to us. We're really friendly, despite we may look very tired, but
Sorry, walked a lot.
yeah, I wish I had that much energy. But I'd like to see how she would do after walking 9 miles.
Thank you guys very much. I hope you enjoyed yourself. It's an old country song, I guess. Back at the table. Thank you for filming. Thank you for dancing. Turned into a Royal Rumble or something.